was that? Never mind that. What was that?
I would move this to give you
Hi.
a view, but
No.
Who are you?
if I touch
Barf.
this again, we're screwed.
Not in here, mister. This is a Mercedes.
Nah, that's my name. Barf.
Barf? What are you?
And here we go. Bar Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 6, Episode 3. And I am Brian the Commish. We are in the Granite State of New Hampshire at WTE headquarters for the first pod on the road. I'm joined in the WTE HQ by the co-host of the show, owner of Born to Run, and a fellow Granite State resident. Walt is here. Walt, how are you?
I'm good. We can't tell you the exact location of the HQ. It's not
correct.
allowed.
That's correct. It's somewhere in the woods of New Hampshire is where
correct.
we are right now. It's a undisclosed location. And hosting the show tonight down here in his own bunker is the owner of Worst Team Ever. Ty was here. Ty, how are you?
Oh, what an honor to be the first pod on the road.
Pod on the road.
This is nice.
I
BARFF
like
on
it.
tour 2024.
BARFF on Tour 2024. We are definitely getting this done.
And let me say, I've never felt so well protected.
we are fine if we become under attack.
No question
I
about
have
it.
that feeling. It's a good feeling. I like
It is
I like
very nice.
I like it. All right. So we had a lot of good BARFF action this week. When we were on the pod last week, we talked about, it was Blowout City. That's what we called the pod last week. But this week, every game was a game. Walt, tell me about where you want to start this week for BARFF action.
Sure. Let's talk about that. I think we got to lead with the premier game of the week, which was Sodi and no lineup needed.
Yep.
That was a thriller in Manila type of thing.
Absolutely. Sodi Pantloads taking on, hold on. I don't have this up. I don't want to miss anybody. Hold on. There we go. All right, so that was we're talking about week 3, when Sodi Pantloads took on the
Hard luck.
the very, very hard luck, no lineup needed.
Yes.
Well, this is a game of inches, and this wasn't even decided by an inch.
I mean, this was crazy. I don't know if the league knows Kyle was on his way to Pensacola. I was wondering where he was, and then all I seen out of the blue, it said Pantloads. So I knew he must have arrived at his his destination, because he proclaimed the victory. But I got to tell you, that was unbelievable. Jaden Daniels looked phenomenal. I mean, right in his coattails to get the win through Jaden Daniels. Who would have ever thought? Christian
Exactly
must have been feeling really confident going into that game.
Exactly right. We have some chat coming in. Jordan's weighing in. What a studio. Sox fan 7687 weighs in with his first comments of the season. USA. And what do we have? Jordan also, let's get some PDWs on air.
Yeah, Gort, this is a live channel. You never know if the government's watching. So we gotta be careful what we show here.
Very good. So for those of you that don't have the scoreboard in front of you, when we talk about edging someone out, this is Sodi Pantloads with 106.8 points, taking out Hard Luck No Lineup, who had 106.5. 0.3 of a point separate wins from losses in this particular instance.
Thank goodness Sodi said for decimal scoring.
He did vote for decimal scoring.
He did, and this would have been a flat-out tie if it wasn't for that. It was incredible.
I'm not a huge tie performance, but not Ty, the owner, but ties in sports, and so I'm glad to see a winner and a loser, but I have felt this pain before in other ventures, and this is a tough one for no lineup needed for sure.
Yeah, it was. It's always heartbreaking, and like I said, there's no way you're going in thinking Jaden Daniels is going to throw up 30 points.
Right, 100%.
And he looked phenomenal. Plus, Derrick Henry, I did say I thought Henry would do well against Dallas. I didn't think 31 points worth of well against Dallas.
Ty 62 points from 2 players. Are you going to lose? Right? I mean, it's
think
crazy.
so.
I mean, I don't know how that
Right?
feels, but it must be a good feeling when you see 2 guys go off like
Absolutely.
that. So with that win, Sodi Pantloads moves to 2-1. No lineup needed based on 0.3 of a point, falls to 1-2 on the season. Walt, where do you want to go now?
Let's see. We can talk about my game. a little disappointing, needless to
What's there
say.
even to talk about in that one?
This was the battle of the two 2-0 teams.
Yeah.
Someone had to lose, and in this case, it was Born to Run. As Huey Lewis in the News stays undefeated 3-0 early on in the season, 121.85 to 113.9. Well, not a bad performance at 113.9.
No, I think, it was unfortunate. C.D. Lamb, 8.7 points. I mean, I'm not going to win many weeks when I get my number one pick only getting 8.7 points.
Yep.
I mean, the Stevenson, the beautiful .3 would have been 0 without decimal scoring. He only got 6.75 out of Richardson, 1.9 out of Ridley. So that kind of all evened out. So really, ultimately, Barkley blew up with 35 and CD with 8.7. To me, there you go. That's the difference, and that's what determined the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset. You're gonna have games like this. My team didn't, lay a complete egg, 113. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, you did get 17 out of your defense, though.
But I got .3 out of my running back. It would have been 0 without decimal
That's
scoring.
tough. Yeah, .3 is that's tough. That's a
And
tough
by the
week.
way, the last 2 weeks, I feel better about bypassing on my Dallas Cowboys and picking the Jets D.
True.
Which I was kicking myself after week 1.
Yeah.
So
That looks like a very dysfunctional Dallas defense right now. Yep.
we don't have enough time in the
Yeah,
show to
that's-
talk about that.
Not getting into that.
No, we
Ty
can't.
Huey Lewis, 3-0, but a 1.9 from Calvin Ridley, which has not been an anomaly for the last couple of seasons. Kelsey has been struggling after getting a high draft pick used on him, as everyone in the fantasy football world did. And then Eckler is now out. Concern for a 3-0 team? Is there such a thing?
I think so, because, again, who really knows that? Apparently San Francisco doesn't know how to report injuries, so who knows how serious the Devo injury is. He's had doubtful next to his name leading up to the game, which we all knew he wasn't going to play, so not a lot of depth on Huey Lewis. So, yeah, if he suffers another injury or two, he could certainly be in trouble, even being led by Barkley.
Kamara's already, this is what happens every year when you draft Alvin Kamara. He's like McCaffrey. At some point, he's going to show up probably hurt, and he's already showing up as a questionable. So, yeah, I think Huey, and they got Richardson last 2 weeks has been very disappointing.
Yeah.
Nowhere near projection.
He looks terrible.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about my game in a few minutes, but he's killing Michael Pittman Jr. He's killing the whole offense.
No doubt.
A really talented guy who seems to be completely lost. He lost a lot of time last year,
Yep.
and I think we're starting to see that he doesn't have. He's got rust. Let's just be nice and say it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Devonta Smith doesn't have an injury designation on the screen right now. Have you heard anything about him? Because he took quite the shot to the skull in that game.
Yeah, I heard he was still in concussion
He
protocol.
didn't
Yeah.
practice today. I know that. So,
Yeah.
he's still in the
Yeah.
protocol.
That's interesting that he doesn't have a Q next
Yeah.
to his name. That's
Yeah, and that's the one thing with my strategy. I did draft a lot of receivers. I got Olave, easily put him in for that. So I'm not overly concerned. I feel I'll still be pretty good. With Collins and Olave and Lamb. I mean, that's the strength of my team for sure.
Kus has weighed in with Dean in many exclamation points.
Wow.
I
don't think they're going to know that one.
I don't understand this one. Yeah, that's I'm better off not knowing these things. So that's Huey Lewis in the News starting out the way that they wanted to, 3-0 early part of the season.
Always nice to start 3-0.
That is pretty nice. Where do you want to go now?
Let's talk about, I think we saw it was a potential for an upset, but the Rifle taking down the Soaring Eagles, clipping the Eagles.
Yep, this was quite a game also. I mean, this is one of our biggest spreads of the game. We're talking 6 points. Soaring Eagles fought a 1-2. They put up 118.8, normally good enough to win, but the Springfield Rifle come up with 124.7, picking up their first win of the year. What was the secret for the Rifle this time?
Well, I mean, it was Josh Allen. The part that made me laugh is he actually spotted the Eagles 2 scores of 0, and he still somehow won.
Right,
Which I found was hilarious.
Coincidentally or not, on the line right now, we have the owner of the Soaring Eagles. Jordan's on the line. Jordan, can you hear us?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and it is great to have you on the show here from the Worst Team Ever Bunker BARFF Fantasy Football Podcast. We're talking about your game. You fought a 1-2, getting taken out by the Rifle, 124.7 and 118.8. What happened to your team this week, or is this just the Rifle having a good week?
I'll call in. I just wanted to call in quick and add a comment here. No coincidence. Studio was great. Also, Rifle, great game. payback game for Josh Allen from last year for me trading him.
Mhm.
But I will say, I have a message to. I want to route it through Oakland and have it come back to Vegas. To fire Josh McDaniels and have Max Crosby threaten to force a trade to get his defensive-minded boy Antonio Pierce in there, and then let Andy Dalton and Adam Thielen force your defense to get -5 points. I don't. Take a hike. Take a hike.
Wow.
That's all I have to say.
I feel that our defending champions are not sending positive vibes towards the West at this point to Las Vegas. I agree. -5 is not what you want.
No.
You could almost say that's the swing of the matchup, though. I mean, because how often are you going to get less than a point or two from a D, right? He gets
true.
2 points from his D. He wins the matchup. That's
true.
Absolutely.
That's tough.
That is tough.
It's true. Derek Carr, though, Derek Carr betrayed. As much as the Raiders D had a bad game, you're not expecting 9.4 points from the quarterback of the most explosive defense offense, coming into Week 3. Jordan, was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, I think I deserve this one because I last second benched Derek Carr, or I benched CJ Stroud for Derek Carr. And I also left who is now officially the captain of my team.
It's got to be
Left
Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
Monty.
I was going to say.
I was surprised that he was not in
I
your lineup.
was very surprised by that.
Yep.
He will never see the bench again. I'll say that.
I think that the Pantloads mentioned something about that last week, about how it didn't look like Monty was going to be in your lineup and how odd that was. So, it'll be good for him to come home.
It's tough when you wear the crown. You make, there's a lot of pressure. You make mistakes.
That's a lot of pressure. That is. Ty, Springfield Rifle pick up a win. They're in the win column now, but 2 zeros. Are these like Mark Andrews? Is Mark Andrews going to produce
he's done? He's done.
That seems like it.
Because I always go by targets, right? And he's just not getting those anymore. He has encountered 6, 8 targets in 3 games.
The 29th ranked
That's
tight
crazy.
end in BARFF right now. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Kelsey is also sliding down that.
You could pick up a Mark Andrews on a waiver wire right now.
You can get that production.
That's a
from the
journeyman tight end.
Absolutely.
No, I'd be very concerned.
That's hard. He does have, unfortunately, he went hard with maybe going for the double tight end whammy this year, and he gets Mark Andrews and George Kittle, which coming out of the draft, you would think, well, this is terrific, and that's going to work for him with the true flex, and it's just blown up. Kittle, like everyone else in San Francisco, can't seem to see the field, and Mark Andrews is getting ignored.
Yep.
Not terrific.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for a rifle, but you got Josh Allen.
Josh Allen gets these big points every week. You're going to be okay.
And then you got Jonathan Taylor if he starts, keeping like he had that year 2 years ago when he was the number 1 pick.
Yeah. And even when C.J. Stroud is struggling, Stephon Diggs is not. If he's
right.
eating, regardless of whether C.J.'s having a good game or not.
Yeah.
So that's pretty huge for the rifle right now. All right, let's check. We've got Sox fan 7687. He hears that Sodi is rebranding to Team Jaden Daniels. That would be massive.
That would be something. Tony
Who's threw in a Dean? Did you brew that yourself?
Again, a lot of questions coming that have might implications with the ATF here, so I really don't appreciate that. Nothing crazy going on here, feds. Nothing crazy.
I love it. SJMP. Weighing in with what up, fellas? I'm looking to trade Rashad White and Bucky Irving. Who should I target? All right, so this is a little bit of fantasy football advice that they're looking for us to give. Trading Rashad White and Bucky Irving. Who would you trade for those 2 players?
Yeah, you're going to be looking at Tyler Bass. I believe he got some attention on the pod a couple of years ago. He was kicking ass, so I think that's your guy.
Oh, and Koos weighs in with packaging in the chat. Tua and Tyreek package for SJMP. What's happening here?
Wow. Interesting.
This could get interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on these transactions. I want to remind everyone that's watching or just listening that if you haven't already gotten your Survivor Pool picks in, you need to get them in before tomorrow night at 8. If you can get them in live here on the air, we can talk about them.
I would love to talk about them.
All right. So what's game? Let's move on from the Rifles and the Soaring Eagles. Jordan, do you have anything else for your game or any more hatred for Las Vegas right now?
No more hatred left in my heart. But I am going to log off, and I'll add one comment on the subscriber pool. Can people please stop picking me? The Beans are my nemesis because I think I have one win against them in like 8 years. I don't need any more pressure.
That's good to know.
That's interesting intelligence.
Keep stock of that.
That is interesting. Yep.
Wow.
All right. Thank you for that, Jordan.
Thank you.
It's great, fellas.
It's great to hear from you, champs, and take care.
Thanks.
All right, that was the reigning champion of Bar Fantasy Football, Soaring Eagles, weighing in and giving us some insight into don't pick him for this week's Survivor Pool. Well, that gives us something to ponder. Something to ponder for sure. All right, what game are we going to talk about now?
Let's talk about Ty's game.
Yep, we're going to look at worst team ever playing the Knuckleheads. This is the Knuckleheads getting their second win on the year, 113.45, taking out worst team ever at 106.65. Worst team ever falls to 1-2. Ty, couple players, no more pain. Devontae Adams has a bad week, but Sam Laporta, how concerned, and how much of an impact was that on this game and your team moving forward?
I mean, it's big, because it finally looked like he was getting some targets again. Mm-hmm. They were paying attention to him. It wasn't just out there blocking. He was getting the targets that I expected of a guy like them, and then he misses the entire second half.
Yeah, that's
brutal. That's probably the difference.
Yeah, I think so.
It was
and Devontae Adams and,
that's
Mason
story.
both underperformed based on projections.
Yeah, Mason, I don't have a hard time with. I mean,
Devontae,
he's the backup guy that's filling in for McCaffrey. So, if he's not going out there, he's gone 17, then 10. So I can't really complain about that. But yeah, Devontae, I mean,
against Carolina, you're thinking there's no way it's 8 points.
They weren't even looking his way. It looked like he wasn't even trying out there. So yeah, it was a tough one. This is a matchup that I thought going into it looked good with my matchup wise.
Yep.
Charbonnet again filling in for me, plugging that hole with some other injuries there. Again, looking good. Godwin, at 17 points, that's looking good. Marvin Harrison again catching another TD. I thought I was in good shape, and then that unfortunately Sam Laporta.
Yeah. Well, the Knuckleheads made just about every poor lineup decision that they could, and ended up lucking out a win, including starting one Cam Akers. Is Cam Akers cursed, and will this win spell doom for the rest of the year for the Knuckleheads?
I don't know. I think it's the reverse of the curse. It's the Cam Akers effect. I mean, that was a big win. Again, it's just it's a win in the column in the standings. You don't get this. Doesn't matter what the differential was. Yeah. So, hey, for you, Evans underperformed.
Yeah.
Look at Goddard though. 28 points out of Goddard.
It's so hard
8
for me.
of which
so
on that last catch too.
I
was watching that game live and I saw that. I'm just like,
that's a very good point.
Yep.
So that was tough.
I probably we could look back when's the last time Goddard had 28 points in a game.
Yeah, and Mike Evans weeks of single digits.
Yeah, that's concerning a little. Definitely.
100% concern there. And matchups this week are a disaster, but we'll talk about all that later.
And last but not least,
Whopper Moppers
against the Beans.
Taking on the Beans. Beans came in really needing a win, didn't want to go into that 0-3 hole, and they don't. They pick up their first win of the season, 116.65 to 97.05. Whopper Moppers goes under 100 points and takes the loss, falling to 1-2. Walt, for Boston Beans, what clicked finally?
Just Jamar Chase came out of his hibernation.
Yep.
And, Burrow was looking for him. He threw deep to him. A couple beautiful passes. I mean, that was it, right? That was. I wouldn't have thought going in that the Beans were going to win. I mean, Chase. You figure with the slow start, maybe it was good for 20, something like that. But to actually blow up and go to 30, that's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see that for the Beans. They counted on that when they drafted him.
Jamar Chase definitely woke up. That's a high draft pick that you need to produce, and you finally did. And an offense that still looks like they're missing quite a bit. But Tyler, with the good comes the bad. 4 players and 5, if you count the kicker, single digits. Beans having a power outage, is they just took advantage of an off week by the Moppers, or no?
I don't think so. I don't know. I got concerned with the Beans' team. He's got a lot of injuries starting to mount up there. Looks like with A.J. Brown, they keep saying, oh yeah, he could be back next week or next week. No one really seems to know what's going on with him. I thought he reached personally on Evan Ingram. Again, he's performing nowhere near probably what the Beans expected out of him.
He doesn't see the field.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's just no way.
It's crazy.
That's tough. You pick a guy that high and he's not even in your starting lineup on week 3.
Yeah.
Typically, you're at least giving guys a chance at that point to maybe prove something. But yeah,
100%.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wasn't counting to see if Tony was drinking beer when he had Ingram as his pick that high, or what was going on there. One too many sody pops that he had. But yeah, no, Ingram's killing him. To me, he's got Freiermuth. Tight end's a concern for him. He's got to think about how to patch that up and get a little more production out of that.
Yep, I agree. But a win is a win.
A win's a win, like I said.
I said 1 and 2 is so much better than 0 and 3.
Oh, it definitely feels a lot better. That's for sure.
It's insane.
It might not feel better when people are making their picks on the knockout pool when when he sweeps the board. But hey.
Chat's coming alive.
Well, yeah, let me catch us up on the chat. So as we took the twist from Jordan weighing in to not pick him, he then went on the chat and is picking himself for Survivor Pool this week against his own advice.
I love that he's doing that.
He's suggesting that SJMP goes for Malik Willis. Tommy is throwing in Tyler Dean, iPad Kid Ty, Sox Fan 7687. Barf on the Road hits 7 viewers, blowing the Caitlin Clark playoff game viewership out of the water right now. We are taking on WNBA, and we are representing proudly.
That's incredible.
And Koos is defending his Evan Ingram, and you're right, Ingram is hurt, and there's nothing that can be done. He's getting zeros because he's not seeing the field, so that is absolutely correct.
Yeah, it's because he stinks. But
I mean, he had a good year last year. That offense needs something, and he could be what they need.
Trevor Lawrence looks terrible.
Trevor Lawrence is not doing well.
No.
There are quarterbacks, I'll say Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, and Trevor Lawrence. If there are people that are hurting their teams, those quarterbacks are holding their teams back.
Definitely.
Let's take a quick look at the standings.
Yes, there's some things I'd like to point out.
All right. I'm going to try to get that up. Sorry that the graphics not hitting the pod, but that's fine. You guys have your screens in front of you anyway. So we got Huey Lewis in the news, still undefeated at 3-0, with the league's highest points 4, followed by Born to Run at 2-1, Knuckleheads 2-1, Sody Pantloads 2-1, and then we have the mass, the rest of the league at 1-2 in order. The Soaring Eagles, Whopper Moppers, worst team ever, no lineup needed. Springfield Rifle and Boston Beans picking up the rear. Playoff percentages are all over the map. The highest one is Huey at 86, and the second highest playoff percentage right now is Born to Run at 76. Walt, anything in here that you think is an anomaly, or is this just how it's going? Let's hear it.
So I think we got a paper lion amongst us with the Sody Pantloads, because I was looking at this earlier. He has 314 points, 4. Which is literally 0.2, and we have the Beans at 313.7. Is 0.5 better.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you got to look at that and say, okay, are the Pantloads a mirage, right? I'm concerned for them. I will say they have a lot of points against, so you can make an argument maybe. That's
a lot of points
against. That is a lot of points against. But 314?
Yep.
That's not good when you have Huey at 417, you got me at 380, you got a lot of 360, 350.
Well, let's not forget all of his points against came in 1 week against me when I put up 166
That's true.
against him.
That was a huge beating. Yep, that's all hot.
So I look at that. We're bad mouthing the Beans. Pantloads are barely better than the Beans, honestly. Oof. And the Beans had 6 more points against them than the Pantloads. So I don't know if Sox fan will defend his favorite team on chat, but I would like to hear what his view is on this.
All right, maybe we will get some of that view. Let's check in on the chat. Tommy is picking the rifle for the Survivor Pool.
Wow, okay.
He's going against what has been conventional picks so far. It's been overwhelming for Soaring Eagles.
Okay.
And Koos throws another one in for Soarin'. So the Beans are going for the Soaring Eagles and Survivor Pool.
So right now, Tommy is the only dissenter.
Correct.
On the Survivor
so
Pool.
far.
Wow, okay.
Koos is also saying hi to Tom from the other room. Beans cannot pick Soarin', Jordan says, but But that's
A
not a
little
rule.
late.
That's not a rule.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. What's the ruling behind this? If you pick your opponent and you intentionally take a guy or two out of your lineup.
I mean, this league is above that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
There's a couple owners I wouldn't put that past.
They're above that.
Any
kind of
sort
shenanigans.
of shenanigans like that will be assessed by the commission.
And thoroughly investigated.
Yes, we will investigate and put the clams down. Sox fan 7687 gives the old adage, defense wins championships. And Coos seems to be a little upset everyone hates the Beans. It's not true that everyone
including
hates
himself,
the Beans.
since he went against them.
He did pick against
that is
himself.
self-loathing,
That is-
potentially.
Yeah, that's not terrific. Come on, pick your chin up. Let's go. So yeah, that's the league standings. It's early.
It's early.
We have no teams that have not won, which it's been some time since we haven't had people really getting pounded into the basement. Everyone's pretty much right around where you would want to be, with the exception Huey Lewis is pulling away a little bit. That's all. So what do you want to do now? Do you want to look at next week, or do we want to play a game?
I think we should play a game. We got the owner potentially with the worst blitz score ever.
The whistle is blowing, or it was blowing. There it is.
There
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
you got to hold it. That's right. There we go. All right. So the whistle is for this week's blitz. The rules for the blitz, I looked in past podcasts. The very first blitz, which you were part of, I changed the rules basically mid-sentence, and then this year we started playing by different rules. So what we're going to do, Walt's going to do the timing, and you've got 10 questions. Last week, the 10 questions were answered in 46 seconds by Sody Pantload. So that's the standard to beat, 10 correct in 46 seconds. And that's how we'll play the game. I'm going to give you the 10 questions. If you can get all 10 right, then you got to beat the time. If you can't get all 10 right, then we're going to have to do some things. But I don't know that you can't finish all 10 and beat someone that did answer 10.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to answer these questions. You know the deal with the blitz. You're just going to have to do the best that you can under pressure. These questions aren't hard, people, but the pressure is real. Are you ready to begin?
Let's go.
Walt, I'm going to say begin, and then we'll start. Oh, ready? Go. The team that defeated you in week 3 was?
Knuckleheads.
The current Republican candidate for the U.S. presidency is?
Trump.
The reigning BARFF champion is?
Gort.
A touchdown plus a 2-point conversion equals how many NFL points? By ESPN ranking, the highest ranked wide receiver on your roster currently is?
Devontae.
No.
Marvin Harrison.
No.
Godwin.
Yes, the capital of New Hampshire is?
Concord.
The lead guitarist for Pro Jam is?
Mike McCready.
The last QB to win a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys was?
Aikman.
The U.S. headquarters of Sig Sauer Incorporated is located in what
Wington.
city? Germany is located on what continent?
Europe.
Stop.
Let's go. That was
39.
38. You're a little slow on the clicking it. That was 38.
All right.
I was ready to go Jimmy Plant as soon as I heard lead guitarist. That's just not fair.
If you had said Eddie McCready, I would have died right here. I would have fallen down. I would have had a big smile on my face. That would have been it.
I got to tell you, I was waiting for what was the worst blitz answer ever given to see if we could get...
Okay, and you can't call it the worst one that's lived down in BARFF history.
that's
Most iconic
true.
is
It is
the-
very iconic.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
we have graphics.
Correct.
Sox fan 7687 saw some fear in your eyes heading into the blitz, but you did well. 39
did.
seconds, 38 seconds is the new standard to
The
beat.
man, yeah, he's on top.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we had a graphic for that too. But we're gonna be happy that the studio's running in the basement right now. So that's what we're not gonna screw around with too many graphics.
we got good Wi-Fi up here. And we had
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, let's take a look at week 4 action, our upcoming games. Let me get those up. Walt, where do you want to start with next week?
Let's go right from the top. Born to Run, Whopper Moppers.
All right.
Uh,
We've got Born to Run pulling in at 2-1, sitting in second place, taking on Whopper Moppers, a 1-2 team. Walt, how do you see this one going?
I see me winning, and I'm pretty confident. I don't know if I'm Jordan confident to put myself on the Survivor. I do think that because of the CeeDee Lamb with Dak, he's got Dak. If Dak has a good game, CeeDee, you would think more than likely, although last week didn't prove that out. Dak had 35 and CeeDee.
That's a
with 8.
typical Dak inflated game, though. Garbage
Correct,
time,
garbage
he's
at
racking
the
points.
end.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the way
yep.
he always goes with him.
So I like that. I mean, McBride, he's kind of questionable. I got Olave in there against Atlanta. I like that. I'd like Collins against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense looked horrendous. So I like my matchups. Burrows looks like he's coming around. I like the fact that he had a little talk with his coach, which tells me, maybe he's going to get more plays that he wants to run than, what he's sending in. So
What a novel idea.
Yeah.
How many head coaches and offensive coordinators are going to do what they do
Yep.
and say, this is my offense, we're running this, when their quarterback is better at other stuff? It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So I like it. I think it's a real favorable matchup week for me, and it does have me favored by like 5 points. So yeah, I'm feeling good. But I will say, Brandon Aubrey is a weapon.
That is a weapon.
You got a guy.
5-point kick.
That's what I mean.
It's crazy.
It's incredible.
I saw
So
a stat today. He's outpacing. I want to say it's the. They named like 5 receivers. It's like Tyreek Hill. It's naming like
Yeah.
guys that went in the first 2 rounds, and he
Yep.
has more fantasy points than every single one of
I
those.
mean,
Yeah,
you got
it's
to grab it
crazy.
up. Look
Yeah.
at his average points.
It's crazy. It's
16.3. That's a huge advantage over every other team's kicker.
It's a Young Hoku situation from a few years back where that player was able to put up a lot of points at a position that you don't expect.
Yeah,
And that
so
can carry you. I mean, Whopper Moppers are in a great position right now.
I agree with that. Moving right along, I mean, we have no lineup and worst team. Might as well talk about that one.
All right, no lineup needed. Taking on worst team ever. No lineup at 1 and 2. Worst team ever at 1 and 2. Right now, the projections, even though it's early, 128.8 edge for worst team ever over 123.7 for no lineup. Ty, how do you see your game going this week?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think Christian team, it's not bad. I mean, Bijan Robinson, I think he looks great when you go out there and watch him. The dude's a tank.
beast.
He's literally he's a warrior, just going out there. The hits he's taken.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously his best player. Neighbors, I don't know. I mean, the matchups he's had. When he's had those 2 blow-up weeks against, Washington, who also had let up the big week to Chase last week. A lot of big downfield plays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to happen against the Cowboys. I think they're going to, pay
I agree.
with, Zimmer out there. I think
Yeah.
he's aware of what Neighbors can do, so I think he'll put extra pressure on him. So
I agree. Trayvon Diggs and Malik Neighbors have been going back and forth on social media, and,
yeah.
and now
Interesting.
you've got to play the game.
Yeah.
Also, Thursday night game, short week for the Giants, coming off a big road win over Cleveland. Malik Neighbors right now, number 1 ranked fantasy
that's
football
crazy.
wide receiver in
As a
BARFF.
Giants wide receiver.
As a Giants
with Danny
rookie
Dimes throwing
wide
it to you.
receiver.
That's
Right.
wild.
Yep.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah, it's
I didn't realize he
unbelievable.
had 18 targets in week 2.
Yeah.
18
That's
targets.
ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was too much, even for a Giants fan. That was too much. You got to do something else. Walt, how do you see this one going?
I'd say, I lean towards worst team ever, but I think if Jaden Reed and Love, ends up playing, that could be interesting. That could be an X factor that, the first week when they played, what did he have? Reed had, 30-something points, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So if that happens, I think this will be a really, really tight game, and I might even say I might give no lineup a
and
slight edge.
Just a heads up, I was pissed off at Devontae Adams, so he is currently not in my lineup. Just out of pure,
Rightfully so.
he had a pure
Yeah,
hatred for him.
yeah, you'll have to look at that with a
who knows?
cooler head.
Exactly.
That's
I'll
right.
wait until I cool down a little bit. We'll see
Yeah.
if he
Rightfully
makes
so.
his way in.
That's true.
That's reasonable.
That might change things a little too. But you got some guys, Harrison showing up on the injury report. I didn't know that.
He should be okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of a limited in a Wednesday practice.
Okay, so he's an emerging guy now. They're getting the ball to him. Godwin, what's Godwin's status?
Yeah, his was another one. It just kind of popped up. It was the need, but I feel like again, Godwin and both Evans, they're constantly have question marks.
Those guys
throughout
always-
the season. So
they do.
I'm not too worried about that.
Completely
All right.
agree with that.
All right.
All right, so let's stick with the host in the room, Knuckleheads and Huey.
Knuckleheads taking on Huey Lewis in the news. Huey, this is our early season juggernaut opponent at 3-0. The Knuckleheads are a surprising 2-1 and sitting in 3rd place. Right now, the projections have the Knuckleheads edging this one by the slimmest of margins, 110.5 to 109.8 for Huey Lewis in the news. Lineups haven't been set. Walt, who takes it?
Well, they're projecting 0 for Mixon, so I think when you put someone in there, that's going to make that line a little larger. If I look at the green check boxes, I find it hard to believe it's that close because it's showing you with a huge advantage. I like your team. I think, Huey's got to think about doing something with Richardson. I think your luck's going to run out if you keep going with Richardson. And I think this is the week it will run out if he doesn't do something about it.
Okay. I agree. Ty, does Huey Lewis in the news despite 3-0, are they looking for a quarterback on the waiver wire right now?
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I might let it ride, another week or two. He did miss a lot of time.
He did.
So there's going to be rust coming out of him.
But is Pittsburgh where
But
the opponent
so,
where you
yes.
turn it around?
So
I don't
that
think so.
I don't know. But the other question is, okay, sure, he would have to throw Debo on IR once he's officially ruled out, which probably won't happen until Sunday, like they unfortunately did last week too. And looking at the waiver wire, I mean, quarterback. It can be tough.
Sam Darnold, though,
Yeah,
he's an emergent. If
he
you
is.
look what his rank is.
And then, can you trust Dalton? Does he go with the stack?
No, you don't trust Dalton.
Well, look what he's still got.
Cowboys trusted Dalton as a backup, and you know where I see.
Well, he's still got Deontay Johnson in his lineup, so he could go with that stack if he's not afraid of it, riding with the hot hand. But I don't know. I think if Mixon plays, I like knuckleheads, but if he does not, I mean, I can't go with Akers in the lineup for 2 weeks in a row leading into victory, unfortunately. So
Yeah, I mean, what I didn't do last week, and I'm not going to tip my hand because Akers could very well end up back in there, but I could have also put Singletary in. Singletary's the number 18 ranked running back. He's very serviceable. He's been in double digits, and I could have put him in that spot and then put one of my wide receivers in the flex. So we'll see. We'll see what we're going to do. There's options out there. I don't believe that Mixon's going to play. It just doesn't seem like he's training that way.
Yeah,
I'll check the practice report tomorrow. I don't expect him to practice tomorrow.
No doubt.
So that'll be a thin margin there. Where do you want to go next?
I'm just going down the line. The pant loads and a rifle, which is projected to be one of our tighter games.
Interesting game. 126.0 for the rifle, picking up their first win last week. Projected to edge out Sody Pantloads 121.7. Both of these teams looking to climb the ladder. Sody Pantloads, a third win would put them in great shape this point of the season. Springfield Rifle looking to even up at 2-2. Walt, who takes this one?
This is tough because I'm looking at the matchup, and Jaden Daniels, he could be last year's C.J. Stroud. From what I've seen, like
that was a great week last week.
Just so composed in the ball. So I think he's gonna stay hot, and Henry against Buffalo, I'm sure he'll get his points. Jacobs. Tyreek, though, that's a killer for. It's a huge concern. You don't even know who's going to even, start a quarterback.
They're already talking a quarterback change this week.
Yeah, for going with what's his name from the Ravens there, Huntley.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah. So I that hurts. And then you flip it. You got Josh Allen. I think Diggs has a nice game, but again, he's riding Rashid Shaheed, and he's got Kittle in there and Pollard. So I hate to say it, and maybe this Sox fan will be upset with me. I'm thinking the Pantloads pull this one out.
Ty, are you picking the Pantloads over the rifle this week?
Yeah, probably. Again, Tyreek Hill, it's really concerning. Your first overall pick, and it's not like he's playing injured or anything like that. He's full speed. It's just the talent throwing to him. So I really thought Miami was going to sign someone to hopefully get someone who could sling the ball a little bit further.
I did too.
The guys they got.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple free agents out there that would seem serviceable, but I don't know. I mean,
how did I call Joe Flacco?
Exactly right. Get somebody in there.
Right? Anybody else?
Yep.
I mean, that's to me insane. You don't give him a call.
I agree.
For what he did in Cleveland last year.
Yep. I agree. All he's got to do is get the ball to these playmakers and just let them go.
That's exactly
He can do that at this point in his career.
Yeah, he's still got an arm.
Absolutely. Yep. You can get it downfield. Tyreek needs to have someone put it up where he can run under it. So.
Who's saying we want Tua in the chat?
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
You might have to go visit him at the local hospital and see if you can talk him into it, but.
Snoop Huntley is making Tyreek stocks go up, according to Sox fan 7687. He also weighed in on the Joe Mixon conversation by texting simply Mo Jixon, which I agree. And to everyone in Miami wants Tua to play. Everyone in the NFL, I think he's got a little bit of a road ahead of him. I think he's got to make some better decisions. So all right, where are we going now?
Last but not least, the game with the widest point differential.
And possibly knocking out 90% of the league.
Yeah, Soaring Eagles against the Boston Beans.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right, defending champs, Soaring Eagles, projected to go big 135.2 over Boston Beans, picking up their first win last week, but still projected to go only 107.7. This is why everyone is picking the Eagles on paper, and as things stand now, there is an avalanche of green check marks with the Soaring Eagles. Walt, does this hold true to form? Is Soaring Eagles simply the smartest pick this week?
I mean, you got to say it is. I just know, and the fact that They gave Jalen Hurts over C.J. Stroud against Jacksonville, and they gave Hurts the advantage. I don't know if I'd see it that way. I think that might be a push, honestly.
Yeah.
So you take that one away. And unfortunately for Tony, you got Ingram, like we were saying, is banged up.
Yep.
A.J. Brown, he's got in there. A.J.'s probably not playing. So he's losing his playmakers. Scary Terry, he looked good. That definitely helps. And maybe gets home run at a Worthy. They did try to get him the ball again, so
they did.
There's going to be chances. So
yep. Lazard also. Lazard,
very good
looks
point.
good. Aaron Rodgers seems locked in on Lazard.
Yeah. But he's
serviceable player.
He's got David Montgomery back in. He's got the right guys in right now. The Eagles.
Yeah.
But 27, I don't know if I see that. I think it'll be a tad closer. But Soaring Eagles to me
is this possibly the biggest line we've ever seen?
27 points has to be close.
Points.
That's a big spread.
That's
big spread.
Ty, is this 27-point spread for a reason? Do you agree? Do the Eagles just win this one easy this week?
I don't think they're going to be sweating too much based on what I'm seeing here. I mean, A.J. Brown is not going to play. They're taking a 49ers approach clearly with him. Again, even if Evan Ingram sees the field, I think it's a lock for the Eagles this week.
All right. So that's a lot of love for Soaring Eagles, which I'm sure he is not happy about at all because no one really wants that much attention given to you. That just invites the jinx to come on. But so far, Soaring Eagles very popular in Survivor Pool. So let's talk about Survivor Pool.
We got 3 more people participating here.
All right. So let's go over who we have so far.
Yeah.
Jordan has picked himself, Soaring Eagles.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Jordan says even ESPN is trying to jinx the Eagles. And Coos does. This is legitimate. 27 spread because he's right now AJ Brown's on a 0. I'm not sure that AJ Brown's going to be projected to go over 20, but we'll see. Point granted. So the Beans picked Soren. So that's 2 for Soren. The Whopper Moppers picked the Springfield Rifle for Survivor. Sody Pantloads weighed in on the text that they were going Soren Eagles. Our undefeated team, Huey Lewis and the News, picked Soren Eagles. So basically we have 1 pick for the Rifle and an avalanche for Soaring Eagles, which leaves, I believe, us and the Rifle as the only teams left that haven't picked.
Yes.
And again, you have until 8 o'clock tomorrow to vote or to change your vote. But what fun is that? Let's see who's going to take who. Ty, I'm going to put the pressure on you. You're the host in this lovely studio here in the Granite State. Survivor Pool, are you ready to make your pick?
I am.
All right.
And I almost talked myself out of it because I was going with this team. We were talking Survivor Pool to begin with, then all the votes started going. And so it feels like a cop-out, but I got to stick with my gut and Soaring Eagles lock it in.
Takes the safe pick with Soaring Eagles. Yeah, you can't argue against it.
Before everyone even said it, I was going with them, so why change my mind just
Fair.
because other people are picking
it? Great call.
That's a really good point. Yep. Now, Walt, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to hold you out for last tonight. You said you're going to make your pick tonight.
And I have a comment.
All right, very good. I'm going to pick, and I'm going to not wait till tomorrow night, and I'm not going to play it safe because the Knuckleheads are playing the undefeated Huey Lewis and the News, 3-0 pulling into the week. The Knuckleheads are, despite being 2-1, still the Knuckleheads. The Knuckleheads, in fact, have Cam Akers still on their roster. For those reasons, no one should be picking the Knuckleheads. No one. And so for that reason, the Knuckleheads will choose the Knuckleheads for week 1.
I like
Survivor
that.
Pool.
I like that a lot.
Wow. I like it.
Someone weighed in. This could be a 2-horse race. I think this could be a 1-horse race, people.
Okay. So when I see like-minded thinking and everybody going for Soaring Eagles, I say that spells potentially the end of democracy. And I'm not going to sit here and stand by and watch democracy.
We're not going to end democracy on the podcast. No.
So there's no way I'm going for Soaring Eagles.
All right.
There's too much like-minded thinking there. You got to look at this. If you're going to really survive, you got to think outside the box.
All right.
Who's known to have bad luck in this league?
Worst team ever.
Worst team ever.
Worst team ever. And the Rifle are our hard luck teams.
True. Very true. Yep. So am I silly enough to go worst team ever? No. But I'm not doing that. So Born to Run is picking
Please go no lineup.
no lineup
Let's
needed.
go.
No lineup needed. All right. Yep.
Born to Run officially the first team knocked out of Survivor Pool.
I look at it this way. I might win after next week.
Okay.
No lineup needed is, I believe that I have to look back at the history. I think no lineup needed is a slow starter traditionally.
Correct.
He
This is
was.
the team
He
that-
put in the group chat last weekend. He started at 0-3 the last 2 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
And made the championship the last 2 years in a
Well,
row.
hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't we in week 4?
We are in week
He's
4.
1-2.
Yeah.
So that
3
means-
weeks of
so
round
that
by.
if
It's
he
time for the
loses-
winning streak.
Pace.
I don't know. I don't know.
No
It
lineup.
could
I will
be,
Venmo you money to not submit a lineup just to knock BTR out. We'll talk.
I love it. All right, so we're just gonna wait on the Springfield Rifle to get their pick in. You have till 8:00 tomorrow night to do it. And don't forget, for those that have not yet Venmoed to Born to Run for your $5, get that in. The Venmo is in the chat, and so get that done as soon as possible so that we can. It
We
means
can
something.
pay. We can pay me next week very quickly.
Maybe this could end early. No one knows. This could very well end early.
We could potentially have a winner.
We could. We could.
Week 1 winner.
we just run it back.
I'd have to agree.
I love it.
I no doubt about it.
I love it. All right, let's see where we're at. Let me check in on the chat just to again, Sox fan 7687 had the last chat. Survivor Pool might be a 2-horse race or a 1-horse race after this week. Absolutely, a lot of participation this week. The chat on the stream has been the most active it's been all year. Our viewership may not necessarily be blowing the WNBA out, but it would be. It's good that we have some people joining us live. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
We have plans for next week to go to Boston and visit with No Lineup Needed and do another pod on the road next week. More information on that will be coming up. No Lineup Needed needs to confirm and make whatever plans. That'll be a Thursday night, as of right now, podcast for the show on the road in Boston next Thursday night. So stay tuned and make sure that you.
Before we wrap up, as the host, I do have one question for each of the host and the co-host here.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think as the host of Pod on the Road, each host should come up with a question for our normal host and co-host.
All right.
So, my question to each of you is...
Correct. Let's go.
We're in the bunker. Zombie apocalypse. You have 3 items to take with you. What are your 3?
Zombie apocalypse.
From your bunker?
No, anything. This could be from anything.
Oh, okay. I thought I'm
This
looking
is a
around
zombie
your.
apocalypse.
I
You can
thought
go
I-
that route if you would like.
Okay, I like that. It's a good question.
So not just from here. What are my 3
What are your
items?
3
3
items?
items.
Any 3 items.
Any 3 items.
Yeah, I take a fire starter, a water filter, and a rifle.
I like it.
You know, that's not far from what I was thinking, but I was trying to figure out how I get a bottle of whiskey and which item I'm giving up for that. I'm thinking I can find water. So why not go with the fire water versus the regular water? So gun was an absolute. I also was toying with something fun to do, but so I'll change it because I think I sustain by fishing. So I'm going to bring a fishing rod.
Okay.
I'm going to bring a gun. And then, fire's tough because, you would like a fire starter, but a bottle of whiskey, I can keep warm. I'm going to go a good bottle of Glenlivet 21. Maybe,
Wow. Really balling out with
Yeah,
that.
so that's what I'm thinking.
I hope that the zombie apocalypse lasts more than 2 days. Or it doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't last more than 2 days.
And Sox fan coming in too, chiming in the last second here in the chat, and he counters this question with which barf owner would you least like to have survive the zombie apocalypse with you?
Oh.
Least likely?
Least likely.
I mean, I love Tony, but he's going to ask a lot of questions of like, hey, Walt, if Bob Kraft was still alive, what would you say to him?
Do you think those 2 zombies are friends over there?
That's a lot to get through.
I love the beans, but boy, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we're a unanimous beans decision here on this one.
I don't want to pile on the beans, but
Well, then you got to think about Tom. I mean, say the sun is like beaten down or whatever. He can't be out. He's a liability.
Sunscreen is one of Tom's 3 items, so he's not bringing much to the table.
I mean, once he gets burnt to a crisp, so I don't know about him. That makes me wonder. the owner of Pantloads, I don't know if he can have children. So if we ever find ways to, kind of repopulate, he's a liability. So I can go down. There's a lot of.
Well, while it's thinking, I'm gonna ask everyone that's on the chat right now. Go ahead and throw in your vote for who you would least like to have survive the apocalypse with you from the BARFF ownership.
Yeah, I like that. I think we should have more time to mull that one over.
Maybe we'll carry that one over to Boston next week. Yeah. So again, I'm not wrapping up. Just want everyone to be aware. Next Thursday night. Dean, just because he's killing it. That's Soxfan 7687. I still don't want to know what all this is. So yeah, we're gonna have more to come. So look forward next week to another pod on the road. So Walt, Survivor Pool almost set for week 1.
I can't wait to review next week.
Oh yeah. Ty, anything else fantasy football or not related? That was a great start to a nice segment there. Very good. Well done.
Yes. No, I think we're off to a great start. I think this is one of the first years we don't have a winless team going into to week 4 here.
Yes.
So as always, BARFF, the most competitive league in fantasy football. So just paying attention to the chat here, Beans, because he would talk about how his team sucks to a turn.
that can be hard.
That's good.
That's hard to listen to. It's depressing.
Right.
Yeah,
but then you think about the Eagles, they get being surviving in their head. There'd be a lot of indecision going on there. I mean, with the Soaring Eagles, they would you start taking, kind of a residence in his own brain. I don't know. So, like I said, there's a lot to think about right there.
Nice. Well, we're at 17 views already. That's pretty
Look
good.
at that. That's awesome.
Average view duration 14 minutes of a 45-minute show.
I thought you were going to say 14 seconds. So they got a window what we were talking about.
All right, so let that be a thing. If you're hosting, if we're going on the road and you're hosting the show, you get to pose 2 questions or a question to the host and the co-host. That would be that's a terrific idea for a segment. Yep.
I will warn Christian. There could be a hostile pod host if he doesn't come through for me if we're visiting there. So, actually, Christian would probably fall to my list of person who I would not want to survive with after that. So, don't let me down, Christian.
I love it. All right, anyone else have anything for the good of the order?
No, I'll just say now, though, I think I got to end by saying, God bless the troops.
God bless the troops.
That's all I can say.
I have that vibe also.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. And that is our show. First pod on the road. Success, gentlemen. Well done.
Great job. Thanks, everyone.